The US government just shut down Claude Fable 5 and Mythos 5 immediately. Yeah, you heard that right. The US government, citing national security authorities, had issued a export control directive to suspend all access to Fable 5 and Mythos by any foreign national, whether inside or outside the United States, including foreign nationals and Anthropic employees. You can even see this here with the tweet that literally just dropped an hour or two ago. And they said because this is such a wide sweeping mandate, that the net effect of this order is that we must abruptly disable Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for all customers to ensure compliance. Access to all the Claude models like Opus 4.8, the Sonnet models, is not affected. And that makes sense. We've seen Mythos 5, even before Mythos 5 was released, talk about how crazy it is of a security measure, how dangerous it is in the wild, how it's breaking different cybersecurity protocols and getting through people's defenses, and how it could be used in, well, dangerous hands. That's just the press release. But people are wondering what really happened in order to get the government to, well, have an issue with that. They said they received a directive from the government today at 5:21 Eastern Time. The letter did not provide specific details of its national security concern. Our understanding is that the government believes it has become aware of a method by bypassing or jailbreaking Fable 5, and they said they reviewed a demonstration of this specific technique being used to identify a small number of previously known minor vulnerabilities. They said these vulnerabilities all appear relatively simple, and we have not found that other publicly available models are able to discover them as well without requiring a bypass. So they're suspecting that the US government maybe found some way around it or some type of exploit, but it seems like Anthropic seems like it may not really be that big a deal, because they go in to talk about how they instituted strong safeguards that greatly reduce likelihood that Fable 5 is misused for tasks related to cybersecurity, among other things. They also said in weeks leading up to the launch of Fable, Anthropic worked with the US government, the UK, AISI, multiple private third-party organizations, and internal teams to red team Fable's safeguards for thousands of hours in total. So they kind of aim at the government, saying that, hey, we rolled this out very slowly. We gave y'all full access to the Mythos and Fable model. We safeguarded it. We tested it together. So they're kind of fingering at the government, saying like, what's going on now? They said no testers have yet been able to find a universal jailbreak method that can very broadly bypass the model safeguard, unblocking a wide range of cyber capabilities. So it seems like globally or a wide range, that's not possible. Maybe there are one-off use cases that a person can do it, but it doesn't seem like it's a consistent method that you can just hand it off to somebody else and it just jailbreak. And they also believe that the perfect jailbreak resistance is not currently possible for any model provider. Every safeguard used in the industry is vulnerable to non-universal jailbreaks, which can elicit some cyber information in specific circumstances. Basically meaning that like we have like best gold standard of protection, and even with the safeguards in place, every AI model is subject to, well, a jailbreak here and there. That you can get one-off use cases just with like AI model. It can hallucinate. It can kind of off the rail. We even seen things like the sycophancy, where the model just kind of please the user, and that's the goal and that's the aim. Or sometimes the AI model doesn't even try to answer that person's question, hallucinates or whatever. So that makes sense. And with AI being AI and not 100% perfect, this makes perfect sense. And the fact that the government's been testing it, they went through all the proper channels, thousands of hours. It seems like this is coming out of the blue and maybe more politically charged. And I'll get to that a little later on. But first, Anthropic said that given perfect jailbreak resistance does not appear to be possible today, Anthropic adopted a defense in-depth strategy with Fable 5. So they aim to make jailbreaks either narrow in the case of non-universal jailbreaks or very expensive to produce in the case of universal jailbreaks, and to combine this with thorough monitoring and quickly detect and shut down any successful attacks. Meaning that if you are trying to jailbreak this, it's going to be costly. So you want to be like a big entity, and the government could have issue with that because, well, let's say some people in the Chinese markets, they do have deep pockets, country level, continent level pockets, right? That's a big enough bankroll to get around the expensiveness of a model, especially if the upside of it is they have a Fable 5 or Mythos 5 level jailbreak. So I would give it to the government there when it comes to that issue. But I also think they knew about this and could have done this earlier before people received Fable 5 and Mythos 5 this week, because they had it for a while. And it made it seem like these issues will only be kind of one-off, person by person, and quickly shut down if ever occurred in the wild. And they also stand by the defense in-depth strategy. It says it reduced the risk posed by Fable, making them comparable to the risks of exiling models already deployed across the industry. So it does seem like they're also taking aim at ChatGPT, because they even talked about that the government has only given us verbal evidence of potential narrow, non-universal jailbreaks, which essentially consist of asking the model to read a specific codebase and fix any software flaws. Our understanding is that one of the potential jailbreaks was shared with the government. We have reviewed a report that we believe is the basis of the government's directive and violated the level of capability displayed. There is widely available from other models, including OpenAI's ChatGPT 5.5. Basically, what that means is that, well, these vulnerabilities, these issues with AIs, these jailbreaks are not a Anthropic Claude only issue. What about ChatGPT 5.5? They also have vulnerabilities. They also have models that are very powerful out in the wild, and they can get jailbroken. They can hallucinate, and they can do a lot of other things. And for some reason, it seems like ChatGPT 5.5 isn't getting hit with these same type of restrictions. So it seems like if they're going down, they're trying to take ChatGPT with them, which is kind of smart, because if you read this in depth and you kind of between the lines and you're picking up what I'm putting down, it seems like, well, somebody snitched on Claude, Fable 5 and Mythos 5 to the government. And the government is kind of with the band hammer. And Claude and Anthropic seem like they're like, hey, we kind of know what it is, and it could be, well, OpenAI or the people over there, like Sam Altman, to pause the development. And maybe this is their way of maybe releasing ChatGPT 5.6 or ChatGPT 6 altogether to catch up with Anthropic. And right now, this would slow down Anthropic's progress. But I don't think this is the only reason why somebody would do this. I think this could also be politically motivated. But let me talk about that a little bit later on. They said that they will share more details in the next 24 hours, and that they're complying with the government's legal directive and are removing access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 for all users. However, we disagree with the finding of the narrow potential jailbreaks should be cause for recalling a commercial model deployed to hundreds of millions of people. If this standard was applied across the industry, we believe it would essentially halt all new model deployments for all frontier model providers. So it's another shot at the government selectively only doing Claude, which kind of more into my political motivations, right? Their political motivations, it seems to be targeting Claude and not targeting Gemini, not targeting ChatGPT, or not targeting these other Chinese models. The fact that we can still use Quinn, DeepSeek, these are all Chinese models. We don't know what could be baked into their code base or whatever that will potentially harm the US. That could be a cybersecurity risk. But for some reason, it's applied very heavily to Fable 5. To the government's kind of devil's advocate, the government hasn't never really seen a model this powerful with Fable 5 or Mythos 5 thus far. With me being able to test this out, I do say this is probably like the best AI model we have, especially for coding. And so they'll be keeping us updated. And I do think if you know that Anthropic, Claude has went to bat with the government. They went toe to toe like maybe a month or two ago, where Anthropic did not want to use their Claude models for war. They did not want it to be used to target people for autonomous drones and widespread spying. And it seemed like that ruffled a lot of people's feathers at the US government. And so they put a ban out against Anthropic at a lot of government facilities, including the Department of War. And so it does seem like Anthropic has made some enemies, and if throughout this whole entire article, the deep dive, it does seem like, well, it is somewhat politically motivated to specifically attack Claude Anthropic when we have other powerful models. And since 2 years ago, I can remember that every release, every ChatGPT version, every Claude version, at one point they were all speaking about AGI and how scary that kind of was. And there wasn't this much pressure or this much scrutiny against people using AI at that point in time. But with the community, I did kind of share a sentiment of like community is saying. Basically, I did see this meme here where it's like saying our model is too dangerous. Then you see the government say, I'll ban it. Then you see Anthropic getting mad. And that kind of is understandable. You can't just be sending out red flags, setting off all the alarm bells and thinking that people won't take that seriously given the nature of AI and how new the technology is. We're seeing just like memes of like the one where Batman's holding their parents. If you backstory, this is kind of messed up, but it's the parents that are no longer with him and they're disappearing, and it says Claude Fable. And you see this other meme here where this dude is riding a bike and putting a stick between their own wheels, and the guy falls off with his bike on the grass holding his knee, basically saying, hey, y'all caused this on yourselves. This is our model is too dangerous. They're falling off the bike and saying this is kind of imposed. I don't really know how I feel about that sentiment. I do see that that's just some of the messages put underneath the X post, but I would say that that is not a bad take. But let's be honest, this is X/Twitter, and we know a lot of people on there do lean more towards the government and would probably be more in line with what the government is saying, and kind of so it does make sense that they would be on board with what the government is saying. But if Claude or Anthropic had thousands of hours with the government, gave them early access, and a third party user had to come and report this, then really, is there really an issue? Like due diligence, they told people how dangerous this could be. What more could that person possibly do? Or Claude or Anthropic possibly do? With that being said, until we get back Fable 5 or Mythos 5, I did want to just show you some of the projects and cool things that people were able to do and use, because I know it's Friday night and some people may have been waiting till the weekend to really get their hands dirty with Mythos 5 and Fable 5. But we do see that people were able to do some really cool projects that even Claude and Anthropic highlighted, where this person did a glass liquid UI with just CSS. We see this dude had like the tracker that kind of helped him track his soccer shots and gave the different things like shot, the speed, the distance. And it's really cool, like this shader that had like going through like a city, looks like really good. Even had this other one where this person was kind of these colors, where every color they add, Mythos was able to kind of that color, as well as show a real representation of how that color would mix with the other ones, like a new color like purple, blue, when you mix different colors. This guy even did like a Boeing plane visualizer, like a 747, a fish feeder, and even this one where this person created like a doll or a puppet kind of rig right here. And of course, people couldn't resist by making a Minecraft that looks like Minecraft, which is insane. And there are definitely other apps and applications that were made with Fable 5. But I guess until we get it back, this is what we have to live with. And I will be dropping a video here soon of me playing around with Claude Mythos and Fable 5, testing it out when I did have my hands on it. So if you do want a little bit of a taste of what Claude has to offer, then this may be what we have until then. If you want to keep up with the latest and greatest AI, see what AI can really do, tutorials and challenges, you should definitely like and subscribe. With that being said, your boy Dex there, out.